This is your dose of daily market wisdom with master trader Nick Santiago. Starting from humble beginnings, Nick has been beating the markets for over 2 decades. He shares with you his take on the profitable trades that will have you moving towards financial freedom in no time at all. To see an in-depth review of his track record and much more, go to inthemoneystocks.com.
Welcome. This is your daily dose of daily market wisdom with master trader Nick Santiago. I'm Kerry Lutz. Today is 4/16/21, show number 247. Well, I guess we should talk about gold and silver first, Nick, before we get into everything else.
Sure, let's do it.
So, what's going on there? They're up again. It's like the third day in a row, huh?
Yeah, we got another nice advance, at least this morning, and this is even with higher yields. So bond yields are moving up, and that usually will stall out the gold move, but gold is having a great day. You have the GLD, which is a gold ETF, up about 0.75%. And when you look at gold futures today, they're up another 12 points. This is pretty good action right now. Gold futures are trading at around 1779, and again, we're right into that 1800 level where I thought it would go. That's going to be the real test. Once you get through 1800, though, you break a big resistance barrier, and then there's a lot more upside. So I think we're headed to 1800. We'll see how it reacts there, but once it gets through 1800, it should be off to the races.
Hey, and I've talked to a number of other cycle type people, not fundamentals based. Everybody's calling for an intermediate high in May, at least 4 or 5 different people who I follow.
Well, it's always possible. The way I look at it is, you got to get up into certain resistance points. And then once you get through them, you look at the next resistance point. And then you put a little base in there, you chop around, and then you see how you react. And if you get through there, then you look at the next level. So, I never like to anoint any new level before we get through an old one. That's kind of my rule. But, we've had a spectacular move. I mean, everybody was panicking, in late March when gold got down to that double bottom and they said, oh, here we go, it's going to break. And I mean, I got flooded with emails. I got emails so many that I haven't even answered yet because I just can't get to them all. And then I said, I think it's the making of a W bottom pattern. And, I gave that chart to you the day of the low. And I said, I think this is what it's going to do. And sure enough, it did it. So very fortunate there. And it's really been off to the races ever since.
Hey, well, you know what? I've got 2 rules, the main 2 rules of Nick Santiago investing. Rule number 1 is watch the charts. Rule number 2 is if in doubt, see rule number 1.
I like those rules. I might write them down.
So, hey, but there's a lot more going on than that. We're melting up, right?
Yeah, it looks like the markets in general are melting higher. And, you have so many people fearing that they're going to miss a move. It's creating this almost like a vacuum to the upside. And again, the Dow is showing really, really good leadership, which is something that I hate. I think that's a curse. So, but again, the Dow is leading the major indexes today, up almost 0.4%. Yields are higher, so the Nasdaq is lower. The Nasdaq Composite just down about 0.25%. It's not a big decline, but they're backing off, and you see a lot of leaders backing off, a lot of cloud names backing off, some semiconductors today backing off. Some stocks are down, sizable too. So you have to watch this stuff. And on the flip side, with higher yields, you're getting a pop in the financials. So it's really just a game of hot potato. We talked about that yesterday. That's going to continue. But overall, it's trending higher, and we got to respect that. Now, I've been waving the caution flag, and I still am. But let the market tell you when it happens. We'll know by looking at the volume trends. When they reverse and they show good volume trends, that's when you got to be, more on guard. Right now, the volume is peanuts this week. I mean, this is some of the lightest volume. It reminds me of the August doldrums.
Yeah. Hey, what do we say about rule number 1? Right?
That's right. Look at the charts, and that's all you want. That's all you need to do.
I have to admit, I stole it from Stu Leonard's farm stand store.
I know the place
in Connecticut, but it's been said many times. Their rule number 1 is the customer is always right. Their rule number 2 is if in doubt, see rule number 1. And I have to tell you a funny story about it. Totally off point. This woman I was once involved with, her sister went to Stu Leonard's and bought some fillets, and she was a lousy cook, and she messed them up. And then she goes back to Stu Leonard's and says, my steaks came out bad. And he says, but lady, you overcooked them. I told you to put it in for 5 minutes. You put it in for 10. And she says, what's rule number 1? And the guy gave her like a dirty look, but refunded her money.
Wow.
Oh man, that's what you call chutzpah. But this is is the game. And hey, when you have one rule that always works, if you're in doubt, got to go back to that rule, right?
That's it. And you know what? The trading business is just a bunch of rules. So if you're ever going to, make it in this business or even have any kind of success, you have to have a set of rules. The bull market makes everybody look smart. It makes everybody a genius. Everybody thinks they can do it. And then when you get into the bear, that's the real test to who can survive a bear market, because it's much quicker. The moves are much more violent on the downside as well as on the upside bounces. So it becomes a real challenge. But bull markets, everybody's a genius. What could you say? It's,
Rick Rule, one of my mentors, always says, never mistake a bull market for genius.
That's right. It's well said, because I don't think I could say it any better.
Hey, finally, story that should reverberate in the crypto marketplace. Turkey has, according to Zero Hedge, has banned Bitcoin.
I did see that, and I think we're gonna start seeing more countries do this. So this is just the tip of the iceberg, in my opinion. Now, Turkey, they have a different set of problems from time to time over there. But what happens when we start to see this, in India and China, which I think there's lots of chatter that can happen. So it really is going to be something when these countries start to ban these cryptocurrencies, and that is something everybody should take note of.
Hey, and just remember, like Sharia law, I don't know what the penalty is under Sharia law for possession of Bitcoin with intent to distribute, but if it's anything like their penalties for narcotics, you might see some Bitcoin beheadings.
Well, I mean, that would be a first, but I wouldn't rule it out. I wouldn't rule anything out. I don't know the laws over there, or anywhere really outside of the U.S. But I wouldn't. Nothing in 2021 will surprise me, Kerry. I wouldn't be surprised by anything. That's how upside down and crazy the world is right now. Nothing would surprise me. But today we're seeing Bitcoin weaker, but gold is higher, and that hasn't happened in quite a while.
Yeah. Yep. And psychologically, even though Turkey, they've got reasons, their economy, there's issues going on there with their currency, all these things, the tensions in the Crimea and the escalating tensions between the U.S. and Russia, all these things impact upon them, and their economy hasn't been performing well. But they're rich in resources, rich in human resources. But Bitcoin is a way to avoid currency disruptions. The one thing for sure, though, is they're not going to ban gold and silver, because that's in the religious texts, and it's as old as history.
That's right. And we talk about that a lot. And gold has been around since biblical times. And I like the things that I can actually grab in my hand. I like something I could take physical possession of, tangible. That's what I like. Keeps me in touch with reality. These things that float around the internet, I hear stories, people lost their hard drive and they have $1 million worth of Bitcoin and they can't retrieve it. That's, I don't want to be a part of that.
That could ruin your day. That could ruin your day, Nick.
Yeah.
The guy, remember that guy, he had like 100,000 something Bitcoins, and the hard drive got tossed in the garbage, and he was willing to share some of the profits with the municipality if they let him dig through the dump to find his discarded hard drive, if he was able to recover it. I mean, it could be billions of dollars sitting in a landfill right now.
And I'm sure there are. So many people bought that stuff on an old laptop. They discarded that laptop. It's gone. That hard drive is history. And just think about how many Bitcoins are out there floating with no ownership.
Yeah, it's so true. As much as 25% to a third, is kind of orphaned Bitcoin, and there's no way to get it back.
So what happens to that? It just sits there and just sits on the chain there?
Or? I think what is going to happen is that quantum computing is going to come of age, and it will break the Bitcoin algorithm, and then the cryptographic nature of it. This is just speculation, and I don't know enough about this for sure, but it seems like quantum computing has the ability to break any cryptography. So, maybe that's what's going to happen, and they'll be able to reclaim it then. But for now, it's dead, other than the guy should go get hypnotized and see if he can recall it. Even if he has to use narcotics for $1 billion, you do some narco hypnotism, maybe it'll come back.
Yeah,
right?
just when I think we've talked about it all on this program, we come up with something.
Hey, $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, Nick, that's a lot of Bitcoin.
It is a lot of Bitcoin, and it's it's a lot of money there, I guess. So, we'll see how this all shakes out. But
yes, we will.
This is just a sign of the times, I guess.
Totally. All right. Hey, well, that's it for now. Make sure you go over to inthemoneystocks.com. Check out Nick's latest work there. You will be happy you did. And the Twitter feeds are at ITMS, at Nick Santiago 01, at Kerry Lutz. Direct your emails to kl@kerrylutz.com. Nick, have a great weekend, and hopefully we won't see any Bitcoin beheadings.
Thank you, Kerry. Have a great weekend.
And so concludes another episode of Daily Market Wisdom with Master Trader Nick Santiago. Be sure to go to his website, inthemoneystocks.com. Don't forget the Twitter feeds at ITMS and at Nick Santiago 01.